US President Donald Trump is reportedly considering the creation of an entirely new coalition of nations, which he sees as a potential replacement or powerful alternative to the long-standing G7 bloc. According to multiple reports, the White House has begun circulating the concept of a bold new platform called the Core Five, signaling a major shift in how Washington wants to align global power players. This proposed Core Five formation would include 5 of the world's most dominant economies: the United States, Russia, China, India, and Japan, bringing together massive populations and unmatched economic reach. As per Politico, Trump's intention is to pull even America's adversaries closer into one tent, while presenting a radically different countermodel to the traditional G7 order dominated by Western democracies. Reports claim the concept of a C5 grouping even surfaced in a draft version of the National Security Strategy, one that was never officially released, suggesting it was seriously weighed at the highest levels. The proposed bloc would hold specialized, theme-driven summits, with a strong focus on major geopolitical shifts such as attempting to normalize relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. One striking statement in the draft says outright that maintaining absolute American dominance across the world is neither realistic nor strategically wise in the evolving global landscape. In a sharp and blistering assessment, the strategy paints European governments as increasingly weak and ineffective, accusing them of failing to keep pace with hard power realities. Trump appears to be bringing together America's biggest rivals into one powerful grouping. The proposed Core Five would include the United States, China, Russia, India, and Japan, 5 countries that together command vast populations, gigantic economies, and enormous military capabilities. These nations together represent the world's top population powers, each with more than 100 million people, giving the group unmatched demographic and economic weight. Unlike the G7, which was built around shared democratic values and wealth-based criteria, this new bloc completely ignores ideology and focuses purely on power and size. The idea behind this grouping is to build a direct alternative to the G7, offering a more pragmatic platform for summits that center on hard issues like trade, security, and geopolitical deals. Rather than relying on traditional alliances or value-driven partnerships, the Core Five would operate in a new multipolar world by prioritizing transactional deals and great power negotiations. The national security strategy stresses that the United States cannot continue policing global conflicts single-handedly and must instead share this massive burden with strong regional partners. It clearly warns that neither China nor Russia should be allowed to take over American leadership roles, urging Washington to cooperate closely with regional champions to stabilize global hotspots. Experts argue the document reflects a paradox: America wants to maintain global leadership but simultaneously claims it cannot do so alone, revealing tension at the heart of US strategy. It is important to note that President Trump has long opposed Russia's expulsion from the G8, arguing that Moscow's presence is crucial for any realistic global decision-making. Russia was originally kicked out of the G8 back in 2014 after its controversial military takeover of Crimea, a move that triggered widespread international condemnation. Since Moscow's removal, the G7 has continued functioning under America's dominant leadership, remaining a powerful though exclusive club of industrialized democracies. The G7 today consists of 7 major economies: America, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom, representing some of the wealthiest democracies in the world. A White House official told Politico that Trump floating the C5 idea is not surprising at all, given his pattern of reimagining global institutions from scratch. The official argued that platforms like the G7, G20, and even the UN Security Council no longer fully serve emerging global players, hinting at the need for an alternative forum. American national security experts say the C5 perfectly aligns with Trump's worldview, which is centered on uniting strongman leaders rather than traditional ideological allies. They point out that Trump has actively pursued deals with rivals such as China and has consistently pushed for direct, high-level engagement with Moscow. Experts believe that Europe's exclusion from the C5 sends a clear and controversial message, that Trump may view Putin as the more decisive power shaping Europe's future. Tori Tausig, ex-director of European Affairs NSC said, and I quote, "This aligns with how we know President Trump to view the world, which is non-ideologically, through an affinity for strongmen and through a propensity of working with other great powers that maintain spheres of influence in their region." Europe did not appear in the theoretical C5, which I imagine would lead Europeans to believe this administration views Russia as the preeminent power with the ability to carry out its own sphere of influence over Europe." Unquote. An aide to Senator Ted Cruz argues the C5 proposal represents a dramatic reversal of Trump's own confrontational China policy from his first term. Michael Sobolik insists the formation of a C5 would constitute a major departure from decades of traditional U.S. foreign policy centered on alliances and shared values. During Trump's meeting with Xi Jinping in November, even U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth called it a G2 meeting, implying Washington and Beijing were acting like the world's two superpowers. The reference reportedly set off alarms within Congress, where lawmakers saw it as downplaying America's allies and elevating China beyond its strategic comfort zone. Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamurti went so far as to formally write to the Secretary of War, questioning the implications of the G2 framing. He argued that labeling the US-China dynamic as a G2 is deeply troubling, as it signals an unhealthy elevation of Beijing's global stature. Politico reportedly contacted the Department of War seeking clarification about the G2 controversy, but officials chose not to issue any response.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.